Hey YouTube, welcome back to UniXTCG, and today we're going to do another Set 1 archetype revisit, this time being U7 Goku. The Patreon voted on this one, so it's the next one, and I think that it got some obvious additions from Set 2, but it also got some ones that kind of go under the radar in terms of how far-reaching they are in impact. So like we usually do on here, we're going to go over the staples, the new toys it got, the old ones that still translate well over. We're going to talk about maybe some of the traps in terms of deck building, and then some of its format presence as perceived by my testing so far. However, on the Patreon, you're going to find my exact deck list that I'm testing with currently, because we are going through the gauntlet when it comes to North Carolina to see what we want to play, what matchups are what, and so on. So you can always find that in the description. So let's see if we can get this video over 100 likes. Thank you guys for your support and all the Dragon Ball Super Fusion World content so far. And yeah, with that being said, let's get into it. So, first and foremost, we are going to be starting with the leader. Nothing too special on this side. We have simply got a draw one leader when it attacks, and then just a flip over at 4, so nothing too special. But of course, the main reason why you're going to end up playing this leader is its awakened effect. It's plus 5k static effect to all of your U7 battle cards during your turn. This is going to get quite a lot of mileage, and in this set we're going to get even more gas to go with it. So when it comes to new cards, we first have to talk about one of the immediate picks for just new blood in this one, which is the 1-drop Frieza that comes in at the rare slot and Blazing Aura. This is just a 1-cost 15k and has a permanent that it goes up by another 5k when your leader is awakened. So this is going to make it a 1-cost 25k, which is currently the highest power you could have for that amount of energy, and that is also going to, for the first time, really make this feel like the premier low to the ground deck. Before, you were playing some value cards mixed in with some slight removal. Nah, this card is crazy. The fact that if you had 4 energy and 4 of these cards in hand, you were attacking your opponent for 20k, 25, 25, 25, and 25, that's the type of speed that you need for a low to the ground aggro deck, because at a simplified game state, every one of these attacks is 1 card out of your opponent's hand, and that is what you need to push the envelope on this sort of strategy. The next card we're going to have is Caulifla. This Caulifla is just a 2-cost, but it's a self-awakener that has crit, and so this is valuable. Denying your opponent cards as they get close to the awakening is all good, because an aggro deck is a straight numbers deck. It's math. You are beating your opponent until they have no cards in hand and then finishing them off. So yeah, really being able to attack for 20k crit in the early game is going to either drain them of a card in hand, or it's going to just hit them with critical, putting them closer to awakening but not giving them another card to help defend themselves later. So very good. Then we have Android 17. A lot of people don't necessarily understand because this doesn't scream aggro. However, you do need to understand that this guy will make your leader a 25k. If he makes your leader a 25k, then your leader is going to have less, you're going to have to put out less cards to defend yourself. Your 5ks will sometimes do the work that a 10k will do. Sometimes your opponent just won't even be able to attack you with things without committing to hand. And when so much of their hand is going forward towards defending your attacks, you put them in this weird space where they have to have so many cards in hand to defend an attack. Each attack is 1 to 2 cards. If that's the case, then they now also have to worry about comboing on top of your leader to do damage. And if they don't kill you soon enough, you're just going to overwhelm them as the game goes by, and they have to also spend cards to attack your things that are higher than 20,000. So overall, you just start taxing the hand in a really good way, and this just helps into that. Plus, he'll become a 30k leader, or a 30k swing, so if you need to ever attack with him or apply pressure, you definitely can in the U7 Goku deck. Another newcomer that's very, very strong is the Gohan. Gohan will become, when you're awakened, a 30k attacker while minusing something by 15k. So pretty much as long as that thing is not 30, or if it's 30k or less, right, you need a super combo to get out of a swing. If Gohan attacks a battle card and then minuses that same battle card, under this leader while awakened. That is insane. And if it's a 20k or 25k, just say goodbye, because you're not dropping 9 times out of 10. You're not dropping a super combo plus to protect any battle card unless that battle card is absolute game or super crucial. Yeah, this card is disgusting in this deck. A 30k swinger that minuses a target by 15 is just wonderful. Now this one, most people have already kind of cracked this. Some people are a little slow to this one, but Kefla is the best card in set 2. I honestly think it's like pretty much like contending. It's either best or it's in top 3, and realistically, this card is just nuts. You really are able to play this on 4, and then end up playing your Gohans from your hand, your 17s from your hand, and a couple other cards that we're going to put in here. So this is just a very, very good way of you get a 25k attacker to the board, you're going to draw a card, and you're going to play a card. Yeah, this is just very, very good no matter where you end up playing it, and it still holds here, especially in a strategy where you're trying to overwhelm somebody. There are going to be times where you could have 5 energy, and that 5 energy could literally be a 1-drop Frieza for a 25k swing, a Kefla into a Gohan, and then you add 2 more 25k swings to the board. Actually, a 25k and a 30k. So yeah, can't understate how strong this is, and being a 10k for literally no reason. Another card that I actually find interesting here is the Son Goku, the 25k critical. This guy is going to be 25k, so he's going to be a little easier to defend when they attack him, but on your turn, he's going to be a 30,000 critical attacker, and he can be cheated into play with Kefla. So this overall is actually just a pretty strong card in Goku. There's going to be some games where between Caulifla into this card, you actually can put a lot of critical pressure on your opponent and just deny them even more cards as you whittle them down for the end. Now, we also over here have Saved by a Barrier, and Saved by a Barrier is just really, really good card. I mean, like what else can I say? Saved by the Barrier is a very, very, very strong card. You end up being able to pay 1 and then stop something from being KO'd by battle. A lot of the times you have a lot of cards on the board, like just the way you curve out in this deck, and 1 energy isn't exactly the hardest to keep up after turn 3, sometimes just after turn 2. So this may be a card that you can actually play. Protecting something and then preventing it from being KO'd will keep something like potentially a Frieza off the board. Though if you use it on something like a 1-drop Frieza, just know there's a lot of other cards that get around that, like Zamasu, Kami, just small cards that can get rid of 1-drop. So, but using this on something like an 18, or sorry, a 17 is going to be a lot better. Using it on a 17, the only way they can get over it is by bouncing it, tucking it, which do exist, or minusing it to 0, which still exists, or bouncing it to energy, which can exist in certain green decks. I mean, it sounds like there's a long list, but if you stop 17 from being KO'd, they have to have specific lines of play to get over it. And if you're not facing blue, those plays are not as handy as you would think. So next, we are going to go into the sponsor message. Yeah, that's what we're going into. So here we are again, just letting you guys know that I'm sponsored by Mystic TCG, a store based out of Missouri that holds all of your TCG needs. They hold all your popular games for both pre-order and just normal order once they're already out. They hold their own events, they hold their own locals, they buy collections, they buy singles, they buy prize cards. All you gotta do to try to sell to that is go to the Mystic TCG site and talk to Eden yourself. He is the owner of the company, and you can find him at plenty of events. If you're going to North Carolina, he's actually going to be there too, so holler at him. But you can go to the site and use the link in my description, or use the code UNIXTCG at checkout to get a discount off of your cards. And then if you're above the border, you can go to G3 for all you Canadian viewers out there. And G3 also holds a lot of their events. They have Discord events. They house one of the most competitive Dragon Ball Super Masters teams, and you can find a lot of your TCG needs from them too. So I have a store for America, I have a store for Canada, and if you're over in Canada, you can use the code UNIX to get 5% off of your purchases from their website. So show them lots of love. Thank you for that. And then the last thing I want to say is I'm doing a bunch of stuff here in Universe X, just expanding and trying to just broaden my horizons. We've got Dragon Ball gaming videos on UniXDB. We have my Twitch channel where I'm playing uploads. I'm focused on set 2 Blazing Aura right now, but we are playing through Kingdom Hearts as a series, so you can check some of the previous lives out on the YouTube channel. But yeah, just go on Linktree, check it out. You'll see everything. And of course, with this video, you can always look on the Patreon to see my own personal list and my testing experience, and then watch those lists evolve as the format goes on. So with that being said, I will kick it back to the content. So rounding off the new cards that I have been focusing on, you've got Glimpse of Hidden Arrogance. I do not think this is the same card that it is in Top Coup, mainly because Top Coup gets to start playing Keflas and 3 drops for 1, and then you still have the extra energy to use Glimpse of Hidden Arrogance. Now you could probably fit it into this deck, I'm just not quite seeing it with the energy economy, because most of the time you do use 2, 3, 4 energy per turn on the turns that you get up to that energy. So this just isn't, I'm not really seeing it. Maybe on turn 5 a 3-dropping Glimpse, but I'm not seeing it the same way. Then you've got Master Roshi. He's part of the OG Awakening squad. Very, very, very good, allowing you to take a life per turn. That's extra card advantage. And then the sooner you're awakened with Goku, the sooner you can lay into your opponent. And generally, the pressure should be unmatched outside of a rival Top Coup, which is going to be pretty much the main issue you may have. Next, you got Krillin, another part of the OG Awakening squad. He is realistically a 10k that you can pay 2 for and you self-awaken. That's bada bing, bada boom. A very, very good card. We love it here. Moving past that, we've got Hit. Hit is, Hit is good. I think Hit and Caulifla kind of share some of the same role. Hit gets more value, but Hit also has to survive. Whereas Caulifla, you can choose to play her and not attack. Though being a critical body, you generally are incentivized to attack. But you may hold her back for a turn or so just to take the attack on Goku, put yourself close to awakening, ensuring that you can awaken the following turn. Whereas Hit needs to swing in order to get that life. So that's going to be the main testing for most red decks. Hit, Caulifla, what ratios do you play those in? And then this is actually the first, in my opinion, trap. You've got Son Goku SR from set 1. There's a lot of things not going well for him this set. Blue has some cards that avoid being KO'd by effects. On top of that, Android 17. Once you're awakened, Android 17 SR cannot be KO'd by this card. Even if you reduce their power and then attack or attempt to use this, cannot be KO'd by this card. Against yellow, this card used to be so good, just playing forward momentum and smoking something off the board. If they're playing Vegetas, you cannot use this card. This card has never really done terribly too much versus green on its own. You had to have something else on top of it. But overall, my main issue here is that this Goku, I don't think does enough right now. I think there's enough ways around him, and a lot of things are at the 25k threshold. Now, don't get me wrong, he can still come down and destroy like an opposing Gohan, but he's not destroying a Kefla, you know, not the SR Kefla. You can destroy the 20k Kefla, but he's not destroying Android 17. There's a lot of cards this guy cannot touch, and he also costs 3. And at this point, you're paying 3 to potentially play like a Gohan SR, which I just think is better in every single way. He attacks for the same amount. He minuses 15k, and while he doesn't immediately destroy something, generally that 15k is going to allow you to attack over something very well. He has 5k combo power, and he can be brought up by Kefla. If this guy can be brought up by Kefla, we may be in a different space, but he can't be. So that's kind of where we're at with this one. I think that all around, he's just kind of gone from one of Red's best cards to just not as favorable. And then you have the Son Goku SCR. I think this guy could be potential Riz. Realistically, you could probably drop double strikers or not run double strikers at all, attempt to get your opponent to 1, and then just play this card. A lot of times your opponent could have the mentality 2 is 1, so if you go too hard, they're like, okay, whatever, on a single strike at 2 life, they'll take that. Then you can come through with a Universe 7 like UI Goku. But the thing I do want to say is that he's a 4 cost that doesn't actually cost anything. What's the word I'm looking for? He's a 4 cost that doesn't actually have combo, but he also does have less. He comes out of turn earlier than Double Strike Goku. So there is a lot of cool things about this card. I do think that we are in a position where we do have to look at this card in this deck and potentially see him as a good show stopper. So there's that. And then we have the Double Strike Goku. I don't think both UI Goku and this Goku played in the same deck, I think you have to choose one or the other. They kind of do the same thing. They're both finishers. You can either get somebody down to double strike, but sometimes if you attack them for a high enough single strike, they're probably just going to be like, well, you know, I'm going to get double struck anyway, so I might as well do this. And that could put you in the position to tap 4, play UI Goku, attack on something you weaken, and then blow them out of the game. However, this guy is still doing what he's doing. He's coming down for 20k. If you already have a Gohan on the board somehow, because that card is a high-profile card, often destroyed very quickly, you can always play this guy. You know, attack with Gohan, play this guy, just rid the board of something. That's 35k or less, and you have a double strike on board. So that's another thing. But you got to be careful about your zero cost, because this deck doesn't have as many 10ks as Topku. I just don't really see it happening. So got to see about that. Then last but not least, you have God Kamehameha. I think God Kamehameha is a very, very good card here because God Kamehameha gets around Android 17 in the red mirrors. That's pretty much its main purpose. You could use time skip, but it's a little more expensive. You could use Awakening to Super Saiyan. I do agree with that. It just, in this deck, there is a chance that you get your board cleared very often, because lots of these are small weenies, impact, low impact, but you know, you get the quantity on, and I think that you can have an empty board more often than not. So I do like the idea of using this card, and realistically, that's pretty much what we got going here. Those are the cards. So we're gonna move it on to the closing and just kind of talk about this deck as a whole. So with that being said, looking at how this deck is and how fast it can be, it's definitely hilarious into green. Green will literally get green will get toasted pretty badly by this. Broly can have some levels of defense, especially with Senzu Bean, but Broly also is being met with a lot more 25Ks than it is before. Before it was just Krillin and a couple other cards. Now it's Krillin, one drop Frieza, Gohan, Kefla, like the list is strong. Android 17, there's just a lot of cards that now can just go neutral or higher with Broly, which is going to tax his hand like it wasn't before. So the deck is kind of OD like that. It will have some interesting matchups with Blue. I think Blue will go back and forth with it. The issue is, though, Blue is an outlaster. There's going to be a point where Blue probably turns the corner and just caps on this one. Topku is also interesting. You're technically a faster deck than Topku, but if you want to push Topku to Awaken, Topku can start playing things for free, and if they're at 4 or higher energy, that's one of the worst things that can happen to you. The moment you are able to get Kefla and Gohan in the same turn, like Kefla into Gohan and then a hard cast Gohan, you're probably losing your entire board in like one go. The moment you can get Beerus, you're probably losing your entire board in one go. Well, you definitely are pretty much outside the 17s. The moment you can get double Kefla, that's definitely your entire board. If a singular Gohan's involved, like if they got Gohan and Catapesla, that's probably GG. So realistically, the Topku matchup isn't the best. There's still work to be done there, but it can still be managed. You kind of lose a little bit of steam against Frieza, because I do feel like in this deck now you have a lot more gas, but you kind of sacrifice the red minusing that used to happen, because before you were still low-key kind of more of a tempo deck than an aggro deck. They called it U7 aggro, but you weren't really playing faster than most of the game. You're playing valuable cards. So I do think that we are in a position now where you do have more low to the ground, but that sacrifices some of your utility and removal, and we have to acknowledge that. So I think this deck will be worth playing. However, I do feel like you're going to run into some obstacles at the top tables, and this may be closer to like like you can get there, you can top 64, maybe even higher, but I think you have to meet your certain matchups. But anytime that green crops up, I think that this Goku will just be an absolute problem for it in the future, and future sets too. So we shall see. But right before we end the video, I do want to give a special shout out to the realm of Xers. These are the people in my highest tier of Patreon, the highest of the high when it comes to the support, and I appreciate it from all of you. But I am giving the special vocal shout out to the realm of Xers, the Adnan Owls, the APX Dofis, the Big Daddy Flapjacks, the BRs, the Professor Spezes, the Brace Rs, the Kevin Is, the Mario Vs, and the Mr. Top Decks. You guys are my biggest supporters. Thank you for the loyalty and the viewership, and I will see you guys all in the next video on Friday, or the next Patreon article, which should be the one that released with this video as we speak, or the next stream, which is probably going to be next week maybe, but we are practicing super hard for North Carolina because I want to walk out of the first regional with a cereal. I want to have one of the first 16 cereals in the US, so we shall see. But that being said, I will talk to you guys later, and yeah, you guys have a great day.